Modern Communist Manifesto. Copyright 2020. Christopher Felzone. Chapter 1. Capitalists and Workers. The history of all society is the history of class struggle. Slaves versus masters, serf versus lord, and lastly, worker versus capitalist. In a word, oppressed versus oppressor. They have fought with one another, sometimes in the open, mostly hidden. This fight either ends in the advancement of society or the destruction of it. As our capitalist era continues, it becomes more of a splitting up of society into two great hostile camps, the capitalists as the oppressors and the workers as the oppressed. Capitalists have left no bond between people other than savage cash payment. Every occupation has been stripped of its nobility by capitalists. It has converted the doctor, priest, poet, and scientist into its paid workers. Capitalists have torn away from the family its sentimental veil, and has reduced the family relation to a mere money relation. Capitalists cannot exist without constantly improving production. This changes capitalist relations to all society as old factories are torn down and jobs are automated away. This constant change creates everlasting uncertainty. This distinguishes the capitalist era from all previous eras. All old opinions and traditions are destroyed. All new ones are destroyed in a lifetime. All that is solid melts in the air. All that is holy is profaned. And we have to come face to face with our real conditions and the conditions of our fellows. The need to expand markets makes capitalists try to sell their products all over the world. Instead of every country producing what they need, we have universal interdependence of nations. The cheap prices of the capitalist goods are the heavy artillery that batter down any isolated nation. This compels all nations, for fear of death, to adopt the capitalist ways. Capitalists during the rule of a scarce 200 years have created more products, homes, and food than all previous civilizations combined. The capitalist society has created such a massive ability to produce that it is like a sorcerer who summoned a demon it cannot control. Every 5 years or so, the capitalist society has a crisis that puts the entire society on trial. Each time, the capitalist society is more threatened. In each of these crises, there breaks out an epidemic that before would have been absurd. There's too much, too many homes, too much food, too many products. This overproduction becomes a danger to the capitalistic society. So how do capitalists get over the problem? On one hand, by destroying the ability to produce, laying off workers, shutting down factories, and closing stores. The other way is by expanding into new countries and thoroughly exploiting old ones. But not only have the capitalists built the weapons to destroy themselves, they've empowered the group that will do it, the workers. The workers live only so long as they find work, and only work only so long as they make piles of money for the capitalists. Workers are bought by the hour and treated like any other product to be bought and sold. Workers are never safe and are exposed to all the fluctuations of the market. Due to automation, workers lose all their charm as human beings. This automation makes it so that anyone can do the job of another easily with little training. This way, capitalists can lower the pay of workers to barely enough to survive. This is what makes a worker a product like a bag of corn. The harder and more socially rewarding jobs pay less because work is supposed to suck. The easier jobs that do not help society pay more because they help keep the capitalists in power. The lawyers and judges make a ton of cash because they help keep the capitalist class in power. Those working in nursing homes and homeless shelters make little or not paid at all because capitalists cannot make money off of them. The more automation there is, the worse jobs become, and the more money capitalists extract from the workers. The differences of age and sex no longer have any social validity for workers. All workers are objects to the capitalists, more or less expensive to use according to their age or sex. No sooner than a worker has been paid, for the moment, escaping the capitalist that employs them, only to be set on by other capitalists, landlords, shopkeepers, grocers, bankers, etc. As time continues, the lives of workers become more like each other. The growing competition among capitalists and the resulting crisis make the money paid to workers more unstable. The constant automation of jobs and the collision between capitalists and workers inevitable. Workers group themselves into unions and try to keep their wages up. Capitalists form associations to suppress wages and stop unionization. Here and there, workers are victorious, but only for a time. The real fruit of the workers' battle with capitalists is not in the immediate results, but in the expanding of the union for all workers. This union is furthered by modern communications, which puts workers in different regions of the world in contact, and therefore helps workers centralize numerous local struggles between capitalists and workers all across the world. This organization of workers into a political party keeps being upset by the competition between workers. Workers can compel some changes in government, but these are rarely long-term due to the tendency that capitalists will hold on to their position in society. Capitalists are always fighting amongst themselves between those who would change the current progress of industry and those who make money from the current state of the world. In the battles between capitalists, they are compelled to ask the workers for help. They need the workers to side with them at the ballot box. Capitalists supply workers with basic political and general education. This can be used by workers to strike at capitalism. The farmer, small manufacturer, small businessman, self-employed tradesperson all fight against capitalists to save their small portion of the economy from extermination. They therefore are not revolutionary and are not on the side of workers as a whole. They want to defend their ability to be self-employed and do not want to join the ranks of the workers. The dangerous class. The social scum, ex-cons, prostitutes, drug addicts, homeless, etc., can be swept easily into the movement of the workers to gain political power. However, the conditions of their lives make it so they may become bribed tools of the capitalist against the workers. Every group that has gotten the upper hand in history, kings, slaveholders, etc., seeks to fortify their place in society. Capitalists are no different, but workers cannot become the master of society except by getting rid of all previous forms of oppression. Workers have nothing of their own to secure, so their mission should be to destroy all forms of capitalist property. All previous movements have been movements of small groups. Workers are a huge group, the majority. Workers cannot come to power without having to destroy the society that capitalists have built. Workers in each country must destroy the capitalists in their country. Then workers must help their brothers and sisters in all other countries overcome the tyranny of capitalism. There is always a contest between capitalists and workers. Every society so far has been a contest between oppressors and oppressed. Capitalists will only give workers enough to barely live. Workers become beggars living paycheck to paycheck. Capitalists are unfit to rule. They see their fellows as a commodity, and this is a true evil. The only way capitalists have power is to hoard money. The only way to produce this money is for workers to work for them, and they take what the workers produce. Capitalists stay in power by making workers compete for money. The constant improvement in technology brings all workers closer together. These improvements make the fall of capitalists inevitable. Chapter 2: Workers and Communists. The distinguishing feature of communism is not the abolition of all property, but the destruction of capitalist property. Capitalist property is property that makes an income with no work from the owner. This means that no one person can own a hospital, but the workers together own it. This will make it so that one person, a capitalist, cannot exploit the majority, the workers. In a sense, the theory of the communists may be summed up in one sentence: abolition of all capitalist property. Communists are in favor of workers' political groups. Communist interests are the same as all workers. There are two main things that make communists different than other workers' political parties. 1. Communists bring workers of different countries together, independent of nationality, religion, etc. 2. In the various stages that workers move towards socialist society, communists will support them as a whole. Communists understand workers of all nations have an advantage over capitalists. The goal of communists is to overthrow the capitalists and the supremacy of workers as a political party. We communists have been reproached with the desire to get rid of hard-won, self-acquired, self-earned property. Do you mean the property of the small farmer or tradesperson? Us communists have no issue with anyone profiting off their own work. We have an issue with capitalists profiting off the work of workers. Let us examine capitalists and workers. To be a capitalist is to have social status through money. This money is a group product, and to have the labor of many workers at your fingertips is a privilege of only capitalists. Money is therefore social power. So when a capitalist takes the work of many workers as money, the root of the money is stolen. Now let us look at the worker. The average price of a worker is barely enough for them to live. So what money the worker gets is almost solely used for housing, food, internet, and medical care. This leaves the worker with not enough money to hire someone to work for them. Workers live to make capitalist money. As soon as the capitalists profit, they will get rid of the workers. In a capitalist society, workers only work to make money for capitalists. In a communist society, stores of money are used for the enrichment of all citizens. In capitalist society, the past hoarded money dominates the present. In a communist society, the present needs of the workers as a whole dominate society. Capitalist freedom is the freedom to buy and sell others' work. Us communists think that everyone should own their own work. You may be surprised that us communists want to get rid of capitalist property. In capitalist society, only 1 in 20 owns this property. You get after us communists for wanting to get rid of the property of a few for the betterment of all. You may be mad at us if you hold such property, but we are enemies, so your feelings are none of our concern. Communism deprives no person the product of their work. It only deprives capitalists from stealing the workers' work. Capitalists claim that if we get rid of capitalist property, then all work will cease, and inversely, laziness will take over us. If this were true, then capitalist society would have stopped in a heartbeat. For most of the society works and gets nothing, the workers, and the minority do not work and get everything, the capitalists. Capitalists claim that all culture will be destroyed if we get rid of capitalist property. This culture is no more than most of society acting as machines for capitalists. Think about the call for constant consumption and constant work. Is this culture good for the people? We communists think not. You capitalists think that your relations to workers is natural law. History teaches us that every ruling class has thought this. This is a grave mistake. As we no longer have kings, we will soon no longer have capitalists. Abolition of the family. Even the most radical flare up at this proposal of the communists. But on what principle is the capitalist family based? It's based on money and privilege that the capitalists have. Workers have no time for their children. They must work for capitalists until they are tired and spent. This means that we need to get rid of the exploitation of the workers, so they will be able to develop proper family ties. You charge us with wanting to stop the exploitation of children by their parents. To this crime, we plead guilty. Getting rid of capitalist exploitation of workers will in part get rid of sex work, public and private. For the majority of sex workers are the worst exploited of workers. Communists are further reproached for wanting abolition of all countries and nationalities. Workers have no countries. Workers must take political supremacy of their nation. This nation must be a light to all other still capitalist ones. National differences between workers will slowly fade away due to capitalists making all society similar to sell their goods. The union of all workers in society will make these differences fall away even faster. United action of communist countries will cause the emancipation of all workers. Once we unite nations under the workers, these hostilities between nations shall stop. The ruling ideas of a nation are usually the ideas of a ruling class. Workers rarely have animosity with each other. Communist ideas to get rid of capitalist property will cause the largest change from traditional ideas we have seen. There will no longer be a political class who does no work but benefits from it. The first step to achieve communism is to raise the workers to a political class and establish a real democracy. The workers need to use all of their political power to take the money from the capitalists and use it for the betterment of all. Once this money is out of the capitalist hands, it would be good to use it to grow our ability to produce food, homes, and medical care for all. In the beginning, these will be tough things to achieve for workers. Capitalists will use all of their money against the workers' political parties. Capitalists claim their freedoms are being taken from them. Us workers need to take the capitalists' freedom to exploit workers from them. The way this will be done is different in different countries, but the objectives will be the same. 1. No one can own property to rent. 2. A heavy tax on those who make money off others' work, i.e. capitalist property. 3. Nobody can inherit wealth. 4. No private banks or loans at interest. 5. Everyone has free and equal access to communication, i.e. the internet. 6. The production of food for the consumption by workers, not to make money from. 7. Everyone who can work should work. Those who cannot should be taken care of by those who can. 8. Free education for all. 9. Free medical care for all. 10. Embrace automation to make workers' lives easier and reduce the work week. When all workers are treated equally and all workers have a say in their work, the power of one leader will be greatly diminished. Political power is the ability of one group to harm another. If the workers destroy all capitalists, then there will be no need for political power since all workers will be equal. In the place of old capitalist society, under communism, we will have a free association of workers and a free development of all. Chapter 3. Communism in Summary. In short, the communists everywhere support the movements in favor of workers against capitalists. In all of these movements, communists will need to bring up the abolition of capitalist property, no matter what degree of development the workers in a society are at. We communists work for the building of democracy, worker democracy, in all nations. As communists, we do not hide our ideas or goals. We say we need to take the capitalist property for the betterment of all. Let the capitalists fear us. Workers of the world, we have nothing to lose but our chains. Us workers have the world to win. Workers of all nations, unite. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you think a friend, coworker, or family member could benefit from this, please share it. Please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to see my future videos. If you hated it, drop a dislike. If you would like to support my videos monetarily, go to patreon.com/ComradeSaul. I have 3 tiers: Baby Leftist at $4.20, Socialist at $6.90, and the base tier of Communists at the glorious $19.17. I will always create this content sponsor-free because I personally despise advertisements. If I could check a little box and you wouldn't even see the ads from YouTube, I'd do that. This is Comrade Saul, signing off.